Hi everyone, this side Arohi from Pyfit Technologies IT Park Mohali. In my last class, I have explained to you the theory of YOLO algorithm, and in our today's class, we will do that in using practical example. So YOLO model works by splitting the input image into grid cells, where each cell will have a bounding box that falls within it. So today we'll implement the YOLO model using Keras. So first of all, I'm importing all the required modules, right? And YOLO model built using CNN, especially ResNet. ResNet means residual network. And the very first block of the today's class is this function. This function. The function is with the name of conf underscore block. So basically, this function is using the code. This particular code is basically a code which belongs to ResNet. This is a residual block, right? So let's see the figure. So we'll check the first figure, the plain block. See, the layers in traditional network are learning from the true output. So true output means Y. In traditional networks, layers are learning from Y. But in residual network, in ResNet, this our network is learning from this function of X. So the main idea behind residual network is to make input is equal to output. Means what we want to do over here is we want to make y equals to x. And if we want to make y equals to x, then if we make f of x equals to 0, if we make this f of x equals to 0, then it is easy to make input equals to output, right? So simply see, if you'll see the equation over here in ResNet, what we are saying is y equals to function of x plus x. And in normal networks, in traditional networks, an equation looks like y equals to function of x, right? And over here in ResNet, what we are saying is we want to make y equals to x, and for that what we are doing is we are adding x. X means the actual input which is in the starting of the network. We will be adding the actual x value with the function of x, and we will try to make this function of x is equal to 0 so that we can make y equals to x, right? So this is what this conv block is containing, the convolutional block. So if you'll see the output of this block, what this block is returning, see over here you can see we are adding x, see add is a function and we want to perform add operation on two variable. One is skip connection and other one is x. So let's see over here. Skip connection equals to x means we have created one variable with the name of skip connection and we are storing the initial value of x, means the actual x value I'm storing on it in the skip connection, so that later on when I'll perform code on this x, the value of x will get changed. So it is good to store that actual x value in some other variable. So that's what I'm doing over here. And finally what we are doing is f of x, this is the actual x, and this is f of x, function of x, and we are adding them. So this is what convolutional block does. We can see from this example also. See, one more thing you have to have you in mind. The function of, if you want to add function of x with x, then the dimensions means the volume of function of x and the volume of x should be same, then only you can perform addition operation on it. Means the function in this con block, this function will add these two variables, skip connection and x, only if the size of both the variables is same, volume is same. So let's suppose, let me explain you this particular thing with this particular figure. So suppose over here the input image is of 56 by 56, right? So when this input, we are passing this input image two layers, this is the first layer and then the second layer, and finally what we are getting output 28 by 28, but the actual input is of 56 by 56, right? So now if we want to add the actual x value with the function of x is having 28 by 28 image size, but the actual x value is 56 by 56. Now if you want to add this x with this function of x, then you have to make the size of this value, means you have to do some operation on this 56 by 56 image, so that the size of this image should be, the size should be similar like this. So what we are doing for that is, this is a shortcut path. Okay, this shortcut path is used to give the x value over here, so that we can add that x value with function of x. So in this shortcut path, we are using one more convolutional layer, and the responsibility of this convolutional layer is to make the size of this image equal to this image, so that we can add in the f of x, right? So this is the whole functionality has been performed in this con block, uh, right? Okay, so now the next step is, let me show you the structure of the YOLO algorithm. So this is the structure of YOLO algorithm. Means first this structure we write in my next cell, Jupyter Notebook cell. I'll be creating the network following this architecture only. This is the layer architecture of YOLO algorithm, and what we are saying over here is that the first layer of the YOLO algorithm will have 32 filters of 3 by 3 size, and we'll get this output. This will be the output volume which we will get after performing this functionality. And then the second layer of this network will have 64 filters of size 3 by 3 and with a stride 2. See over here we hadn't mentioned any stride size, that means stride is 1, but over here stride is 2. And after this layer our output will become, the volume of output will be 128 by 128. So this is how the whole structure is. So over here if you see in the last, scale 1, scale 2, scale 3. So what it is, see YOLO algorithm will give us output at three different scales, right? That simply means this is the YOLO version we are working is in YOLO v3, and YOLO v3 make detections at three different scales, which are at layer 82. This is at layer 82, and then layer 94, and then layer 106. So YOLO algorithm has 75 convolutional layers and 31, basically in YOLO network 75 layers are there, CNN layers, and rest 31 layers are other layers, which include the shortcut layer, the convolutional layer which I've just discussed, and the other root layers. So this is the network structure of YOLO. Now let's build the architecture layer by layer. So I have created another function over here with the name of make YOLO v3. See, okay. So before explaining you this architecture, let me tell you, like in CNN network, we have three kind of layers. First is convolutional layer, and second is ReLU layer, and third is pooling layer. Pooling layer is responsible for reducing the size of image. But in this CNN network, the CNN network which I'm explaining to you today, in this CNN network, we are not using pooling layer. And to reduce the size of an image, we are using stride is equal to 2. Let's see the first block of our code. So if you see this first block, so first of all, in x variable, what I'm calling is con block. So if you remember the con block, which I've just explained you over here, convolutional block, which is acting as a residual block. Okay, so con block, and over here in first block, how many layers I have? This is the first block of my network, and in this first block I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 layers are there, right? And this input image is a variable which is storing the input shape of our image, right? This 3 mean the colored image, none means we'll later on give the value to it, right? So what I'm saying is, in the very first layer, how many filters we want to have? 32 filter, and kernel size should be 3 by 3 with stride 1. See, the very first 32 filter, 3 by 3 size. So this is the layer, and this is how it get designed over here. So layer index 0, 1, 2, 3 means this is just to give numbers to your layers, and these are batch normalization is true and leaky ReLU is true, right? So this is the first 4 layers, and these first 4 layers I'm applying this con block. In the same way, in my second block, I have 3 layers and number of filters and kernel size and stride is mentioned over here. You always need to remember stride 1 means image size should be would be similar. Whenever you'll use the stride is equal to 2, the image size, the output image size would be different from the input image size. Means when we are giving input to this image, let's suppose the input is 128 by 128. And if we are using stride 2 on it, that simply means the output volume after this particular layer would not be similar as input, right? It would not be 128 by 128, it would be less than that. And if you have stride 1 over here, stride 1 over here, means whatever output you'll get after second layer, the same input you'll give to this layer, output of the previous layer will become the input of the next layer, right? The output of this layer, let's suppose the output of this layer is 64 by 64. Over here stride is 1. That simply means the output which you get after this layer will also be the same as input, only 64 by 64. Why? Because stride is 1. Stride equals to 2 will always change the volume of the input. Stride is equal to 1 will not change the size of the input, right? So this is how the whole architecture, whole network has been designed. And finally, if you see the last 2 lines of this model, so I'll have a variable with the name of model, and in this model I'm calling a model. I want to create a model. So this is what is input image is carrying a shape of our input which will assign to this network, and then YOLO 82, 94 and YOLO 106. So if you remember, a few minutes back only I have told you like YOLO V3 makes detection at 3 different levels, right? One at layer 82, other one at layer 94, and the last one at layer 106. So these are the layers on which our algorithm will make detections, right? So this is what our layer architecture looks like. These are the 3 different layers which our model will return scales. Now the next thing is, let's use the weight reader class. Now this is a weight reader class. Why we want to use this class? Because we want to read and load the weights. So for that, basically we over here, we are using a pre-trained model weights, right? So these were trained using darknet code on Coco dataset. Means we are using a pre-trained weight file, right? So you need to download that file. This will be a file name. You need to download this file. This file would be around 237 MB. So you need to download it. And once you download this file, this particular file, this YOLO v3.weights file, this pre-trained model, these are the pre-trained model weights, and these are trained on darknet code on Coco dataset. right? So download it and then use weight reader class to load the model. So this is the whole weight reader class, right? So first of all, what I'm doing here is in model variable, I'm calling a make YOLO v3 model. This is the function name, this function name, this function name in which we have our network, right? So first of all, what I'm doing is I'm defining a model, I'm calling that function over here and I'm storing that function in a model variable, right? And then using the weight reader class, which is just over here, this is the weight reader class. I'm using the weight reader class and I'm reading YOLO v3.weights. So this is a file which I've just told you to download it, right? Once you weight reader read this file, then we are using a load weight function of weight reader class, load weight function. So this is a load weight function. So I'm using this load weight function to load the weights, and we want to load the weight where? In the model variable. What we have in model variable? Our Keras model. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm loading the model in this. So after that you will see the output like this. And in YOLO we have 106 layers as I've told you. Why we are getting 105 over here? Because the layers are starting from 0, right? Layers are starting from 0 and YOLO v3 have 106 layers, and this is what it looks like. Once these models get trained with the pre-trained load, we are saving that model for later use, and I'm saving that model with the name of model.h5. Now our model is trained, our model is saved. We can use this model.h5 file for a real output for object detections. So now I'll show you how to use this pre-trained load file, model file, to perform object detection. So now we are using a model which we just have created and saved it with the model.h5. Right, so this is a model which we just have created, right? And these two variables are input W and input height. This is storing the height and width of the image. That means we are going to use a image with the height and width of 416 416, right? Now in this cell over here, we are creating a class which will draw a bounding box. Over here, this xmin and ymin are the starting point of the bounding box. Xmax and ymax are the endpoint of the bounding box. And this objness, this basically this variable is means it will check if there is a object in a cell or not, right? So if object is detected in a cell, then this classes variable, this is responsible for showing the class name. And then we have a function with the name of getLabel. This getLabel function is responsible for showing a class name. And this function getScore function, this function will show the probability score for that class label. And the sigmoid function, this sigmoid function is an activation function. After that, now we'll talk about intersection over union. Next topic is intersection over union. So performing intersection over union, over here I'm performing intersection over union. It will compute the intersection over union on two bounding boxes. So if you'll see this image, so we have two bounding boxes. One is in yellow color and one is in green color. Suppose the bounding box which is in yellow color is the actual bounding box and the bounding box which is in green color is the predicted bounding box. And intersection over union simply means we want to see how much area is common in that, how much overlapping is there. And so let me explain you this concept. See, whenever you want to perform this intersection over union, so you need two bounding boxes, then only we can calculate intersection over union, right? So suppose we have these two boxes. This is the actual box and this have these parameters x1 and x2, y1 and y2, and other box which have parameters x3, y4 and y3, y4. Now let's see, our task is to find out the intersection over union. So if we are using a if condition, okay, so before going to this, let me tell you like what I'm trying to explain you. So I have created a function, this function with the name of interval overlap. So the code which I have written over here, this code is I'm trying to explain you over here. All right, so we have two boxes with these dimension. One is actual box and other one is predicted bounding box. And we are using a if condition. What we are saying, if x3 is less than x1, if this x3 is less than x1 and if x4 is less than x2, means this parameter, if it is less than this and if this value is less than this, then what will happen? There will be no overlapping, right? This box will be, predicted box will be somewhere over here like this. Let me show you like this. If x3 and x4 is smaller than x1 and x2, then what will happen? This box will be somewhere over here. That means there will be no overlapping between the actual box and the predicting box. So that means there is no intersection. So simply means it will return 0. Let me show you where is it, how it works. See, this is what I've done. If x3 is less than x1, then check condition. If x4 is less than x1, then return 0. Otherwise, check the minimum value between x2 and x4 and then subtract x1 from it. So let me show you this. So this is what I'm doing here. Minimum, right? x2 and x4. So suppose this is the situation, right? So this is the predicted box. Let's check the minimum value from x2 and x4. Which is the minimum value? Let me show you. Wait a minute. So this is the box, yeah. So now which is the smallest value between x2 and x4? x4 is smallest and then we are minusing x1 from it. What we will get then? Width of the intersected area. So this is how we'll work for, we'll check for this condition also if x2 is less than x3. Previously we have worked on x3 and x4. Now we are checking for the x1 and x2. If x2 is less than x3, means if this x2 is less than x3, then check if this x1 is less than this. This is what I'm doing here, right? So this is how it looks. So this is how we can find this intersection over union. And this is a function, and after that I'm using intersection over union function, and finally this is the thing which this function will return, intersection area divided by union, and you will get IOU. So next thing is non-max suppression. Now non-max suppression is an algorithm for cleaning up when multiple boxes are predicted for the same object. Right, so over here you can see for the same car object we are having three different boxes, but we want to have only one bounding box which is giving us more good result. So we can use non-max suppression to delete the all bounding boxes, and we can have only one bounding box which will give us more accurate output. So this is what we are doing over here. See, we have a function with the name of do NMS, and this function we are passing two arguments over here. So you'll see two arguments, boxes and NMS. So we need to pass all the boxes which are being predicted, and we need to tell the NMS threshold. Threshold means we need to tell the probability value on the basis of which our non-max suppression will finally give us the predicted correct predicted, clean predicted box, right? So over here boxes simply means the bounding boxes, right? So this function will perform the non-max suppression. And then we have a function with the name of load image pixel. This function is simply loading the image on which we want to work, and it will get the height and width of that image and store in width and height variable. And then we want to over here, see what I'm doing over here is, let's suppose user is uploading a image which is of some different height and width, but our algorithm is working on 416 into 416 image. Then we need to convert it into the shape which we have. So this is what we are doing, I'm doing over here. And then after loading the image, I'm converting the image into an array and then changing the data type of that, right? And finally this load image function, load image pixel function, is returning three things: image, the width of the image, and height of the image. So this is the function which will load the image. So let's finally load the image. Let's see. So this is the image which I want to load, zebra.jpg, and this is the height and width of the image. And these are the three variables which I'm using. In these three variables, what want to store. See, if you remember this function load image pixel, this is the function which I've just explained you, which is responsible for loading an image and then converting it into an array and then changing the data type of it, right? And then finally it will give us the three things, right? Image, width, and height. So it will return us these three things. So for storing all those three things, I have three variables: image, image w, and image height, which will store the height, width, and name of the image. And which image? Which is stored in, which I have stored in photo, this file name. And what I have in photo file name? Zebra.jpg image, right? So when you check the shape of this image, so this is the shape of the image. We have one image with the height and width of this. 3 is for RGB colors. Okay. Now the next step is, let's load our model and try to detect objects. So our model is this model.h5. If you remember, we have saved this model and we are loading that pre-trained model now. And then in y hat variable, I am predicting the image. Which image I'm predicting? The image which I've stored in this variable. Okay, and I've stored the result in y hat. So over here, I'm trying to know the shape of that, right? So I have used one variable a, and for a in y hat. Why I'm using loop over here? Because as I've told you in the starting of our today's class also, that YOLO object detection version 3, YOLO, which is a version 3, it detect objects at three different scales. So we will be getting three different results for three different scales. So that's why I've used a loop over here, because we'll be getting three outputs. So you'll see we are getting three outputs over here, right? So that simply means first scale, second scale, output for third scale. So for first scale, it is having a grid of 13 by 13. For second scale, it is having a grid of 226 by 26, and for third scale, it is having a grid of 52 by 52. Right now, over here, if you'll see, what is this 255? 13 by 13 is clear, right? Grid. And 26 by 26 is again a grid. 52 by 52 is again a grid. But what is this 255? Now let's understand that. So if you remember, I have told you that we are, see over here we are using a weight file, right? Pre-trained weight file, which we have downloaded. And that file was on Coco dataset. And Coco dataset have 80 classes. Means this object detector can detect 80 different classes in an image. And whenever we draw a bounding box, the parameters of bounding box are like this. We have bx and by, which is the center of bounding box, and then we have bw and bh, which is the height and width of bounding box. Means four parameters are for creating a bounding box, which is bx, by, bh, and bw. And then we have one parameter c, which tells us whether there is an object in a cell or not. So we are having 5 parameters now, and after that we have 80 more values because we have 80 classes, and for every class we'll be having one parameter. So that simply means 13 into 13, and this is a colored image, so that's why into 3, right? And 85, 80 classes are there, so that's why 85, and 5 simply means bx, by, bh, bw and c, which tells us the object next in a cell. So this is how we are getting this 255, 255, right? So we have checked the shape and we got the 3 shapes because YOLO V3 works on 3 different detection scales. Okay, now the thing is, we want to get all the boxes, we want to draw the boxes on that image which we have just loaded and we have predicted, and we want to get all the boxes on that image. So for that I have a function with the name of get boxes. Get box function, this get box function will, it will give us the result on the basis of threshold value, right? It basically, we will be deciding a threshold value later on, right? And what will happen, so we are having 3 lists over here: v underscore boxes, v underscore labels and v underscore scores. These are the 3 blank lists. So we will store all the boxes in v underscore boxes list, and their corresponding labels in v underscore labels, and their scores, probability scores, in v underscore scores, right? So these are the 3 lists which are responsible to store all the boxes with their respective information, right? Which is above the threshold value. So this function is doing that, and the output of this function is we'll be getting the 3 lists which are storing all the boxes, labels and scores. Now the next task is to draw the bounding boxes, and the output of the previous function, get boxes function, because it have all the information, right? All the bounding box information. Now we want to draw all those boxes using this draw boxes functions. So the output of this function will become input of this function, and this is the file name, means on which particular image we want to draw the bounding boxes, and the information and all the bounding boxes which are above that threshold value are over here. So this will draw the bounding boxes. All right. Now the next thing is anchor boxes. Now what are anchor boxes? See, if we talk about anchor boxes, so anchor boxes are predefined boxes, right, of certain height and width. These anchor boxes are tiled across the image in object detection, and the object detectors which use anchor boxes can process the image at once, right? So YOLO chooses the anchors by running k-means clustering on all bounding boxes from the training images. Means if you'll see the code over here, I'm defining anchors over here, right? So these 3 lists mean first list, second list and third list. Why I'm having 3 lists of anchor boxes? Because YOLO V3 works at 3 different scales, and for every different scale we'll be having different anchor boxes. The height and width of anchor boxes will be different at different scales. So this first list, what are these 2 first values? This is the height and width of first anchor box. This is height and width of second anchor box, and this is the height and width of third anchor box for the first detection scale. In the same way, this is the height and width of second anchor box. This is again a height and width of anchor box, height and width of anchor box. So for 3 different scales, we are having 3 anchor boxes. And how we are deciding, like we want to have only 3 anchor boxes? So for that, YOLO is using a k-means clustering, and on the basis of the most 3 common shapes, it will choose the anchor boxes. And how this works, basically how anchor boxes work. So basically, first of all, it will we will tile all the anchor boxes on the image, and for each anchor box we'll calculate which object's bounding box has the highest IOU. And if the highest IOU is greater than the threshold value, then we'll tell the anchor box that it should detect the object, right? And if the IOU value is less than that threshold value, then it will predict that there is no object. So this is what we are doing. I have 0.6 is the threshold value. These are the three anchor boxes for three different grades, and these are the labels. I've told you, like, we have used the weights which are pre-trained on this COCO dataset, and COCO dataset have 8 different classes, and these are those 80 different classes. Right now we have these 80 different classes. So now V boxes, V labels and V scores, these are the three variables, and I'm using get boxes function. If you remember, the get boxes function is responsible to give us the list of boxes which are above the threshold values, and we are storing the boxes, their corresponding labels and their scores which are above threshold value in these boxes. Now the time is to show the output. So we are using a loop because we have decided, we have we have made three anchor boxes. That means we want to detect three objects. So for that we are using a loop. Draw boxes function, if you remember the draw boxes function which I've which we have discussed above, which is responsible for drawing a boxes, and it is getting information from get boxes function, right? Photo file name, this is a variable in which I have saved this particular image. I've given the path of this image, and V boxes, labels and scores is responsible for detecting this object. So this is how YOLO object detection is done. Thank you.